Leopardstown.
Chilly day at Leopardstown as we prepare for this, the second race of the day, the short course for women. It's a race of 4,228 metres, which will involve 2 laps and the 720 metres that take them to the finishing line in the first place. 6 in each team. Sonia O'Sullivan there, and Keenan Buckley to her left, our right as we look. 6 in each team, and 4 will score, and the scoring is quite simple. You get a point if you win, 2 if you're second, so if they finish 1, 2, 3 and 4, they've 10 points and they win the team event. Ireland last won the team event in Turin in 1997. And false start. 2 sounds of the gun, it sounded like, but they've gone. We had a false start earlier in the junior men's race. Field of 110 from 45 countries. Sonia O'Sullivan deep in the bunch at the moment. There she is. That year, 5 years ago in Turin, she was disappointing herself. But her strong finish helped propel Ireland into the bronze medal position in the team event. But here she's seeking a victory 3 months after the birth of her second daughter. Sonia won the very first short course race of them all. It was staged in Marrakesh in 1998, and that completed a double because she'd won the long course event the day before, and she's the only athlete ever to have won the long and the short races in the same year. 2 of the bronze medalists from Turin 5 years ago in the Irish team today, as well as Sonia. There's Valerie Vaughan to complete the Irish lineup, and Keenan Buckley and Maureen Harrington. Sonia O'Sullivan just moving herself out with and Keenan Buckley alongside her. Rosemary Ryan is the other Irish, and Maria McCambridge.
And Keenan Buckley has made a terrifically courageous start to this. I mean, she wouldn't be rated as one of the fastest, and one would have thought, in fact, were it not for the fact that the Irish women have decided to go as a team, she would have stood a better chance in the long race, because she really isn't very fast. But Keenan Buckley has started extremely well and is in the leading group coming up the straight, from which they'll have 2 laps to go.
A great reception from the sizable crowd here at Leopardstown. They've come to see the green worn with distinction. There's Sonia O'Sullivan right in that leading group as they cross the finishing line for the first time, and they'll have 2 laps to go now, having completed the 700 odd metres that bring them from the start to that finishing line. 6:94 and 6:99 are 2 of the Kenyans. 6:94 is Priska Jepleting, 6:99 Nancy Wumbui. And we saw yesterday how in the short race it's all about pace, and you can't really afford to let anyone get ahead of you if you intend to be in the shake-up for the medals. 2 Kenyans, then Sonia. Priska Jepleting, the Kenyan who's gone out in front. Story of African dominance all the way here yesterday, and we're seeing something similar as this race evolves. This athlete in front has a pedigree. She took the silver medal in the Junior World Championship in Turin 5 years ago. That was the year that Kenya won the gold in the event. Strong performance for Kenyans there. 6:40 running in the colours of Australia is Benita Johnson. She was Benita Willis. She holds the Oceania record at 3,000 and 5,000 meters, so she has the legs for this. O'Sullivan in the middle of that.
And Keenan Buckley still running very, very well up there in the top 20. Finished 20th last year in the mud of Ostend. Conditions here much more conducive to fast running, and that doesn't really suit her.
Sonia O'Sullivan just slipped off the pace a little bit there. Lead has changed hands. Now led by Isabella Orchici. Based in France, this runner in front now. Made her big breakthrough last year. It's our leader. And her injection of pace has proven costly for the others. Sonia back in 6th or 7th position.
Orchici would be better known as a road runner. Finished 8th in the half marathon championship, the World Half Marathon Championship last year. Probably feels that she needs to put distance between herself and the rest of the field over something as short as 4,000 meters.
6:67 in the colours of Ethiopia is Worknish Kidani, former world junior champion.
Just saw a shot there of Rosemary Ryan trying to work her way up through the field. Very, very difficult when the race has settled down to actually work your way through the field. Quite hard.
The Sonia O'Sullivan, 9th position at the moment. There's never much to be told from the expression on Sonia's face at stages like this in the race, but you would have to observe that the way it has developed in this first full lap, it's the Kenyans and the Ethiopians there are displaying similar dominance to what we've seen Paula Radcliffe apart and Dina Drossen in races yesterday.
And working her way up through the field, Worknish Kidan of Ethiopia, she was 5th in this race last year. She's the world junior champion from 1999 at cross country, and Carla Sacramento of Portugal on the shoulder of Sonia O'Sullivan there.
The applause builds as they approach the finishing line for the penultimate time, and the bell. Sonia O'Sullivan is now in 7th position. She's leading the little group that she's in. Orchici, the leader, and takes the bell.
And Keenan Buckley is in 13th place, and that really is a terrific performance. And Rosemary Ryan is working her way up through the field as well. There's Keenan Buckley on the left of shot.
One lap remains in the women's short course event, and the leading three have put further distance between themselves and the chasing pack. 2 Kenyans, 1 Ethiopian. Sonia O'Sullivan leading her group, 7th position. There's the standings at the end of the first full lap. Sonia O'Sullivan placing 7th, Orchici, Masai and Kidani. And commendable 13th position for Anne Keenan Buckley, crossing the finishing line at the bell.
I like the look of Kidan there, the Ethiopian. She's worked her way up to join the leaders, sitting on their shoulders now, taking the benefit from their pacemaking, and she looks extremely comfortable.
Team standings, Ireland in 4th place, level with Russia. And Keenan Buckley's efforts there contributing towards the potential for an Irish medal. First 4 to score. Masai and Ochichi and Kidan. Sonia O'Sullivan trying to work her way closer to the 2 leading groups in front of her. Benita Johnson in 4th position for Australia at the moment. Is that gap too big? And the feeling is that it is. Sonia O'Sullivan is to the rear of the second group, leading her group. Ochichi, Masai, Kidan. Sonia O'Sullivan back in at 7th place that she was holding. Sonia right at the rear of that picture. Fifth place at the moment. Behind the Australian Johnson, filled by Susie Favor, Susie Hamilton from the United States. You have to confess that the medals look like being shared between these 3. Ochichi, Masai and Kidan.
Keenan Buckley holding a very strong 7th is Sonia O'Sullivan, 8th, 9th, 10th. I think Keenan Buckley has actually moved up a couple of places in the last 400 metres.
Sonia O'Sullivan challenging for 6th place now, and she's in 6th place. This is all good from an Irish team point of view. It may be disappointing if Sonia doesn't get among the medals herself, but the stronger she can finish, the stronger Anne Keenan Buckley can finish, and the strength behind could bring Ireland into a medal position. In Turin, when they won the bronze, Sonia was 9th, Katharina McKiernan was the strongest finishing Irish runner, she was 7th. Valerie Vaughan in 23rd and Una English in 25th places brought Ireland into a team bronze medal. And when you look at it like this, that in front there are 2 Kenyans, and they must be favourites for the gold. There are Ethiopians in front of Sonia, but no other country has got 2 athletes in front of Sonia O'Sullivan, and no other country is packing strongly with their athletes, so that medals are going to be decided by minor placings in the teens and the 20s. Sonia O'Sullivan in 6th position could have a very, very big say indeed in terms of Ireland getting a team medal.
Rosemary Ryan is running well down the field. The disappointment perhaps is after Rosemary that I think Maria McCambridge is not having as good a run as she would have liked and she would have expected.
Well, the race itself is about to be decided, and it's Masai who's in the lead. Edith Masai won individual silver last year in the short race. She's going to come home and take the individual gold this time. Edith Masai, a 34-year-old Kenyan, has put the distance between herself and Kidan, who's in 2nd place for Ethiopia. Kenya's going to take another gold medal. Edith Masai. Gold for Kenya, it'll be silver for Ethiopia, and a bronze for Kenya, silver for Kidan of Ethiopia. The bronze medal goes to Ochichi of Kenya. Australia taking 4th. Sonia O'Sullivan back in 7th place again, finishing strongly, but is not going to overhaul Abibek Nigusi. And Sonia O'Sullivan's race complete.
And this is one of the great performances from Anne Keenan-Buckley, finishing now in 10th spot. And really is terrific to have worked her way up through the field like that. And here comes Rosemary Ryan into a high place. So it all depends on the fourth Irish runner.
Sonia finished 7th, Anne Keenan-Buckley finished 10th. I'm waiting confirmation of Rosemary Ryan's final finishing place. But here's the conclusion. Edith Masai winning the gold for Kenya, who are also going to take team gold most likely. Though Ethiopia had strong finishers too. The minor placings will decide that, but the team medal is between Kenya and Ethiopia, and Ireland challenging for a bronze medal in the team event. Masai the winner, Workadesh Kidan of Ethiopia second, Isabella Ochichi of Kenya third. Fourth place went to the Australian Benita Johnson. Fifth place, Susie Faber-Hamilton of the United States. Abibek Negusi in sixth place for Ethiopia. There's Sonia O'Sullivan seventh. Amina Godana of Ethiopia eighth. And I'll revise my earlier assessment and suggest that Ethiopia will take the team gold. Kenya take the team silver. Anne Keenan-Buckley 10th. Rosemary Ryan finished 19th. Team standings we await.
Team standings we await. Ireland won't be too far away from a medal, one suspects, in the team standings. However, as George said, we're just going to have to confirm that in a few minutes. Now, Dina Drossen, silver medalist from yesterday's women's race, has been here with us in the studio. Dina, Edith Masai at the end finished very, very strongly from what looked like it was going to be a real tight battle for a while. I suppose it was, really.
Absolutely. It was a great battle. It's very typical that we see Kenya and Ethiopia battling it out towards the finish of a race, and they did just that. They pushed it from the start. It was a great race to watch.
Sonia, 7th. Would she be happy with that, do you think, watching her and watching the way she ran?
She should definitely be happy with that. To come back after having a child and in such a short time come up and race against the best distance runners in the world who've been training for months upon months, building on years, that she could get 7th place in a competition like this is just fabulous. So
much of the attention naturally was on Sonia, but Anne Keenan-Buckley in 10th place. As Tony and George said, that was an excellent performance.
Absolutely, and I think the Irish are probably crossing their fingers right now for a bronze medal. They did fabulously, so it just depends on that 4th place finish. There's a lot of emphasis on that.
Your own colleagues?
They did a great job for Susie Hamilton to come out in her debut World Cross and get a 5th place finish is just tremendous.
Yeah, overall in the team standings, would you have expected them to have gone a little bit higher? They were lying 6th at one stage. They were not quite sure what the final tally is.
Yeah, I wasn't able to see far back enough to know if the other girls had held their own, but they had a great start, so I'm hoping that they were able to hold that momentum throughout the race.
Okay, Dina, let's not speculate on the team standings because we'll know that very shortly. Right now, though, we have another commercial break. Stay with us again for more news from Leopardstown.
Leave it. Don't drag it. Leave it. Relax. Ariel's first non-bio powder loves tough stains like these, cleans them better than any other non-bio powder without soaking, and it's dermatologically tested. A bit of an accident. Brilliant cleaning from a non-bio. Ariel, that's another load off your mind.
Today we take a fascinating look at what spring cleaning will be like in the 21st century. Thanks to advanced technology, scrubbing like this will be a thing of the past. Whatever the job, Flash has the tools. So, those grimy in-betweeny bits, hard to reach places, and that bit what lurks behind the lavatory will be oh so simple to clean. Some even predict men will do the cleaning. Flash does the hard work, so one won't have to.
Nothing is more comfortable than Charmin Comfort. It's the most cushiony soft toilet paper there is.
Charmin. Mobile ringtones from Talking Tones. Just speak to order. Call 1580 555 999. 1580 555 999. See TV Now for free logos and graphics.
All in a Cadbury dream. Dream, the new creamy white chocolate from Cadbury.
Welcome back again. The men's senior race from Leopardstown coming up a little bit later on in the programme. The race that we've been watching, of course, is the women's short course race. Sonia O'Sullivan finishing 7th in that. Anne Keenan-Buckley was 10th, and Rosemary Ryan finishing 19th, and a very good performance by the three of them. Edith Masai, however, the Kenyan, winning the race, Dina, and the Kenyans, as we were saying before the break, and the Ethiopians, of course, as well, so strong in these events. Absolutely, and Edith ran a beautiful race to come out leading her team to victory. It was incredible. She sat and just waited to the end to show her fire, and she came up that hill beautifully. And she always looked very composed. She didn't look, I suppose, a different style, obviously, to Paula Ratcliffe, for example, but looked very composed throughout the race. Right. She looked smooth and very controlled in the fast pace that they set out. It was very quick at the start, as we had mentioned in viewing it, and she held her composure and put the burn on when it counted. The thing that's very impressive about the Kenyans and Ethiopians in both the women's and the men's races is they adapt so well to different conditions in climates that perhaps you would feel wouldn't suit them. Absolutely, and we were all hoping that the weather conditions would be dreadful here so that we could be a little more competitive with them, but they always seem to come through no matter what the conditions are. They're tough runners. They're tough in any conditions that nature has to throw at them. Well, Dina, the good news from an Irish point of view from the women's race is that Ireland took the bronze medal, 3rd place in the race, just ahead of the Russians. That was an excellent performance. We would have been hoping for that, but not expecting it, perhaps. Absolutely, and that's so exciting to hear that they rose to the expectations, and I'm sure the crowd out there helped them immensely. You ran with one of the team, in actual fact, and trained with one of the team in the States, in Colorado. Yeah, Valerie Vaughn and I trained together in Colorado a couple years back, and it's nice to see her out there again, and I'm sure she was a great addition to this team this year. Dina, thank you again for your thoughts on that. Now, as I said, we have the men's senior race coming up a little bit later on in the programme, but also taking place today at Leopardstown was the men's junior race. Let's have a look at the highlights from that one now. And then I think we started going a bit harder, and I went as hard as I could, and I don't know, 7th, 3 times in a row now I've been 7th, and for most of the last lap I was trying to break that and get into 6th, but it didn't happen, and I know I got to the line, and that was it. Was the course tougher than you thought? Oh well, I knew it was tough. Watching yesterday's races, I wasn't under any false impressions it was going to be easy, but it was actually really good to run on, and great surface. It was really good. Maybe we can have it again next year here. Is there any reason we can? Best time. Yeah, apologies about that. Obviously, we have a sound mix-up coming from Leopardstown. We were listening, of course, to Sonia O'Sullivan there, and she seemed, Dina, to be very pleased with the performance, and that from just the little clip that we could hear in the background there. Absolutely, that's a lot of 7th place finishes. She said she was trying to break through, and you could see that she was really fighting for it, and I think the crowd was backing her up, and she felt it. Yeah. Over her career, Sonia has had some enormous highs and also some disappointments in her. As an athlete, and knowing the mental strength that an athlete needs to have, how would you rate Sonia? I think she's dealt with it fabulously. Everybody in this field has ups and downs. It's just the nature of the sport, and I think the nature of life in itself. So the fact that she comes back year after year and fights for regaining her composure and regaining her status and her victories is just amazing to me. Obviously, Sonia O'Sullivan is a total sports superstar here in Ireland. Would she be known in the States? Absolutely. She's very well respected all around the world. Yeah. And cross-country running in the States, how popular would that be in the scheme of things within athletics?
Unfortunately, it's not as popular as over here in Europe. We've
Sure.
tried to promote it as a more extreme sport, as that is taking highlight and precedence in the U.S., but just hasn't gained the popularity. Most children in high school and the college level do run it,
Yes.
so it's popular within the athletes themselves, but when it comes to spectators, it's not much popularity at all.
Sure, sure. Well, Dina, there was one athlete that came from Ireland that made his mark both in the World Cross Country Championships and, of course, the Olympic Games some years ago, was John Tracy. And John, of course, another superstar here in Ireland. John, we will all remember. Now, you wouldn't have seen necessarily these little clips of footage over the years. We've seen them over and over and over again and still enjoy looking at them. When John Tracy won the World Cross Country titles.
The young Waterford boy throwing kisses at the crowd, jacking his fist in the air, and not a bother on him. Winning the World International Cross Country Championship. As an old Waterford man down there in front of me cries, and I could almost do the same myself. He knows it's there. This 25,000 crowd is going delirious with excitement as John Tracy comes with only 50 yards to the finish. The Soviet is behind, battling with Malinowski, two of the great distance runners of the world, left way behind.
John had a little bit more hair in those days, Dean, didn't we all indeed? Certainly it was a different colour in those days as well. They were incredible performances back then by John Tracy. Do you remember John Tracy from running in the States?
Absolutely. The total dominance just comes into mind when,
Sure.
when his name is mentioned. Being from the University of Arkansas, we had a strong Irish
Yes.
contingency on our,
Of course,
on our
yeah.
team there, and then again in Colorado where I was training for a while. So I know a lot about his
Sure.
performances, and they ring true at every national and world event.
Well, the man of the moment, I suppose, in terms of men's World Cross Country is Mohammed Moorhead, who took the title last year and the year before.
Yeah, extremely impressive, and we're seeing people dominate year in and year out, and it's wonderful to have races like this, and there's upsets every year, and so something to look forward to. I guess we have the race to prove who's the best on that given day, and we see it all the time.
Sure. Well, Dina, let's just remind ourselves of the performance put in by Moorhead in taking the World Cross Country title. Moroccan-born Mohammed Moorhead running in the colours of his adopted Belgium finally delivered on his undoubted talent when he took the World Cross Country Championship, and that was in Portugal. And then, last year, despite the race being moved to Ostend at short notice, and I suppose the added pressure of running in front of his home crowd, Moorhead responded to the challenge and successfully defended that title. It is actually interesting to me, Dina, that despite the toughness of this event, an athlete, as you said just before we saw the clip, can dominate for a year or two. Like we'd say in the women's, we saw Lynn Jennings for a few years was there, and others then before that and since.
Absolutely, and Geta Wami had been doing it until Paula Radcliffe took it away from her last
Sure,
year, and
yes.
and Paula now has defended her title this year. It's extremely exciting, but the nature of our sport is that people rise and people fall, and good days, bad days, and just people leaving the sport, coming into the sport, and it's exciting to have these championships events, and you can see people definitely do well when they're running in their home country because of
Yes.
the pride and the support that they're getting from the stadium and the spectators.
Not taking away from your silver medal, but for Paula Radcliffe yesterday to retain her title that she won in Ostend last year, having finished second twice and third twice, I think a lot of people were delighted for her.
Absolutely. She's probably the most well-deserving medalist that there's ever been. She's always the one that initiates the pace and pushes the pace from the very beginning. So to see her triumph again and again is just fabulous.
Well, Dina, today a very creditable performance once more from Sonia O'Sullivan in finishing 7th in her comeback race, I suppose we should call it. And you heard a little clip of the interview earlier on. Let's pick up on that right now.
Sonia, that is some performance. What do you have to say?
Yeah, it was tough. The first half was easy, and I thought, yeah, I could win this. And then I think we started going a bit harder, and you know, I went as hard as I could, and I don't know, 7th, 3 times in a row now I've been 7th, and you know, for most of the last half I was trying to break that and get into 6th, but
Yeah, the Magnificent Seven, it seems, as Sonia said. That hadn't occurred to me until she mentioned it there. 3 times in a row, 7th.
3 times in a row.
3 times 7th, I should say, yes.
Yeah, and she did try to break that today, and she looked beautiful out there, leading her team to a 3rd place finish, and she has to be anything but just totally proud of what she's done out there.
Yeah, well, we're proud of her too, Dina. Thank you very much again. We're going to take a break right now. We have the men's race coming up shortly from Leopardstown.
Now available to rent at Extravision. Spielberg's Vision of the Future.
I propose that we build a robot child.
Where man and machine compete in an epic adventure story starring Jude Law, Haley Joel Osment, and amazing special effects.
They made us too smart, too quick, and too many.
AI, Artificial Intelligence. Available to rent or buy at Extravision on video or double disc DVD. DVD at Extravision, the future of home entertainment.
Collect the fruits, take Capri Sun to school, and stay cool. Don't step on that crack, Mac. Blackberry that sucker. Nice one, Capri Sun. Make a splash for vitamin C. Grr. Chop that spooky tree. Set the fruit free. Need all the fruit you can muster to be a thirst buster. You know the drill, Mom. Make mine a Capri Sun. Big raspberry. Sweet dreams for Bonzo. Choose Capri Sun, but chill it first, then drink it down and burst that thirst.
George?
Yeah.
Are you going out?
Yeah.
Have you got your phone?
Yeah.
Is it topped up?
Yeah.
BK's rocking this month. MTV's in town. And free with every kid's meal. You not only get goodies like message cards and stacking picture frames, but an amazing chance to meet the stars backstage at MTV. So pop round to BK now.
Andrew, welcome back again to the World Cross Country Championships, the men's senior race coming up shortly, as I said. We're looking forward to that. And we've been talking here to Dina Drossin, silver medalist from yesterday's women's race. Dina, just again talking about the prospects for the American athletes in this race coming up.
We have an extremely talented and well-experienced team out there today for the men's 12K. Abdi Abdurrahman,
yes.
Meb Kefleski, Matt Downen, we're all part of the bronze medalist team from last year.
Yeah. Okay, Dina, well, as you can see at Leopardstown, the podium is all set and ready for the awards ceremony from the women's short course race that we have just seen. So let's go back again to George.
Medals being presented by the Taoiseach, Bertie Ahern. Isabella Ochichi takes the bronze. Silver medal for Ethiopia, Worknesh Kidan. And the gold medal in the women's event goes to Edith Masai of Kenya. 2 medals for the Kenyans, 1 for Ethiopia. And now the Kenyan national anthem.
Do what, Bill?
We await the presentation of the team medals in the women's short course. That'll be coming up very shortly now. The crowd awaits the what is generally held to be the centrepiece of the World Cross Country Championship meeting, the men's long race, which is due off at 2 o'clock. Now, 150 competitors in this 12,000-metre race. And the one we're looking at now, 3:54, is Alex Hutchison of Canada. These are the countries competing in the men's long race. The Belgian champion, Mohamed Mourhit. He won it in 2000 as well. Born in Morocco, naturalized Belgian. But he's the man who fancies his chances of retaining his title. Irish represented by John Burke, Mark Carroll, Fiacre Lombard, Peter Mathews, Martin McCarthy and Seamus Power. Start due off at 2 o'clock. Your assessment, Tony, of what lies ahead?
Classic race, very strong Kenyan team. Kamathai, the world champion at 10,000 metres from the World Championships in Edmonton. Third place last year, Charles Kamathai of Kenya. Chep Karui, sixth in the short course event last year. Chep Karui, incidentally, the only reason he's in this, he was signed up to run in the Kenyan trials, the 4-kilometre race, but he missed the start. So he decided to go in the long course event and finished second.
Sorry, you should be able to hear Bill now. Sorry.
Richard Limo from Kenya is the reigning world champion at 5,000 metres. Wilberforce Talel, fifth 2 years ago in this, third placer in the Kenyan Championships. Strong Moroccan team, but of course after watching these championships you'll know that Ethiopia too will have a very strong team. Lema Alamehu, the great Fitabai Issa, bronze medalist in the 5,000 metres in the Olympics back in 1992. Mesfin Hailu, Habte Jifa and Asefa Mezagebu. Very, very strong Ethiopian team as well.
Competitors to set off on this 12,000 metre race, which involves 6 laps and the usual 720 metre stretch up to the finishing line. They get underway and the race is on.
And let's see if we see the same sort of sprint start from the Kenyans. We saw it in the last race and in the junior race. It was quite awesome. Those are 2 Ethiopians there. Impossible, but that is a very, very fast start, and it is actually slightly uphill. They're beginning to hit the uphill stretch now. Come round the curve up to the what is the finish line.
And the leader is an interesting character, Kenny Bekele. He has the world junior record holder at 3,000 metres. He is bidding to become the first athlete ever to win all 3 cross-country titles available to him. He was the junior champion in 2001. He won the short course event here yesterday, and now he's leading the way in the long course event.
And on the basis of our observation of his performance yesterday, you'd have to say that he is on the cusp of becoming the latest, greatest long-distance runner in the world. Didn't just win the juniors last year, finished second in the short course event in Ostend. So he had a double last year as well. Second in the short course event and winning the juniors. And yesterday improved by 1 in the short course, and here he is in the long course event. 4:68, John Yuda of Tanzania. 3rd in the World Half Marathon Championship last year. Strong credentials, the man from Tanzania. 4:25 is Hosea Kogo, former husband of Lydia Cheromai. Has run in France, won the 10,000 metres event on the track in the French Championships. Very, very composed looking Kenenisa.
The number we should be watching out for is 3:47, which is the number worn by Mohamed Mourhit, who won this event last year in Ostend. Very popular winner, running for Belgium, and he won it the year before as well, aiming for a hat-trick of titles, but so far hasn't shown towards the front of the race.
But early days yet. This is 10,000 metres. There is a huge amount, incidentally, of support on the ground for Mourhit. A lot of Belgian flags in the crowd. But Bekele is a beautifully balanced looking runner.
But look at that, ominously, 2nd, 3rd and 5th Kenya. Kenya have won the team event in this long course cross country in the last 16 years. And the way they're packing at the front there, every suggestion that they're going to do something similar on this occasion in Leopardstown.
The man in blue is one of the French entrants, possibly El Hassan Lassini.
Little injection of pace there just to stretch things out a bit. And the man who did it was Hosea Kogo, one of the Kenyans, up towards the front. After this weekend, you wouldn't be in any doubt as to what colour Kenyan runners wear. The red singlet with the green on the back and green shorts. We've seen so much of it.
And there is Mohamed Mourhit down in about 15th place, just on the right of screen, just going out of picture there. Mourhit, twice champion, working his way gradually up through the field.
Still leading, Kenny Bekele. Conspicuous by their absence, the green singlets of the Irish runners. They're well back down the field at this point.
Fita Baisa of Ethiopia That's he in the middle of the pack there, 379. One man we're looking out for but haven't seen yet, Sergei Lebed of the Ukraine, twice winner of the European Cross Country Championship and runner-up in this event last year in Ostend. That is a lot of pace there. Bekele back in second. And whilst we were watching down the field, there was an injection of pace by Enoch Mitai.
So Kenya leads. Kenya second. Ethiopia third. And then Tanzania in the person of John Yuda in the sky blue, wearing number 468. And we haven't seen much from them the course of this World Cross Country weekend. But John Yuda is very much up in contention. That's our leader, Enoch Mitai, East African Cross Country champion of last year.
Yuda obviously didn't like the mud last year in Ostend, finished only 27th, but has improved. Third placer in the World Half Marathon Championship.
That's the second group, led by John Yuda of Tanzania.
And remember how Gebra Merriman in the junior race paced himself so well. The Ethiopian looked to be out of it at one stage, then drew himself back at the right time and then was able to out-sprint the Kenyan at the finish. So Bekele biding his time, allowing Enoch Mitai to make the pace and break away from the field, but keeping it just about under control.
Kerry Bekele still very much there. Also involved at this point, Jonas Kiple of Eritrea. So the race continues. 6 laps in all, so there are 5 to go at the end of this one.
And once again, the Kenyans are packing brilliantly. They've got at least 5 of their scoring 4, at least 5 of their running 6 in the top 8. Bekele looking very, very composed in the centre of that field, allowing Enoch Mitai 5 laps to go. John Yuda leading the chasing group with Bekele, going very, very fast, but out in front.
And that's how it looks after the first lap. And the Tanzanian John Yuda was the one who went across the line first, as the electronic guide noted. The Eritrean there in the singlet underneath, the short-sleeved vest underneath his singlet, his red singlet, running in strongly in 6th position just now.
All 6 Kenyans in the top dozen. Enoch Mitai slipped back into the field, having established a bit of a lead. But John Yuda, the half marathoner, making the pace. But so too Bekele. More heat at the back of that group in the top dozen. The top dozen running, you might say, all together.
And not surprisingly, Kenya at this stage showing very clearly as the team leaders. But Tanzania and Eritrea in this longer distance event are having an impact, and it's the Tanzanian who leads, John Yuda.
The Moroccans packing very, very well in that group as well. El Arbi Katabi, 3 times a finalist in the World Championship steeplechase, in the middle of that leading group for Morocco.
Interesting the lengths that Yuda has to go to keep himself in trim. He can't go on early morning training runs in the area where he lives in Tanzania because he'd be in danger of tangling with the wild hyenas, which is clearly no laughing matter. That's John Yuda currently in second place. Plenty of encouragement from
3 of the naturalised Moroccans running for France, running very strongly there. And you'll see the figure on the right there, Ismail Skier. Very, very talented little Moroccan, running now for France, naturalised citizen. But he's had a long career of running 5,000 and 10,000 on the Grand Prix circuit around Europe. He's never done particularly well in this event. Didn't finish in 1998. Prior to that, finished 8th in the 2 preceding years. And what you do notice there is that I don't see the figure of Mohamed Mourhit. It almost looks as though the field is getting away from the Belgian champion.
There he is there, just now, coming into shot.
So yes, they are beginning to move away from him.
347's his number. The red, gold and black of Belgium striped on his vest. Mitai Yuda Bikela. Tanzania, Kenya, Ethiopia, Kenya again, then Eritrea. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Kenyans in that group. And that is the kind of packing that wins gold medals.
Jaoud Garib of Morocco, the leader in the leading Moroccan there in the all green, just behind the Eritrean, but the Kenyan's very, very strong. But Yuda running a great race, and it's very handy for Bikela that he's got the Tanzanian there making the pace, so he doesn't have to do the work.
He only took up running, this fellow, in the year 2000, and he's emerged as the #1 Tanzanian runner. And one of his proudest boasts is that he's 3rd fastest of all time on the road, over 25 kilometres.
This group now has broken well clear of the rest of the field.
Yuda very smoothly.
Mourhit, the champion, back in the 3rd group, a long way back, and with an enormous amount of work to do if he's to satisfy his supporters in the crowd and come through. There are 4 laps to go, of course. It's a long race, this one, just over 12 kilometres. John Yuda, Chep Karui, Kenenisia Bikela, and that group all together. Moroccans running very comfortably. So too the Eritrean.
And he's not alone, because they have several runners in the top 20. But this very definitely the leading group, and as you say, Tony, there's no more heat. Kenya very clearly the dominant team.
"15 points, of course, is remarkable, but you might expect to see that slipping just a bit, because the Kenyans haven't paced themselves quite as well as the Ethiopians so far in the championships, and they've been clawed back quite a bit. But you'd have to say at this stage they are clear favourites to win this title yet again. The two Moroccans are Garib and Gourmi. Gourmi won team bronze in 1995. Garbi is the 2000 Mediterranean Games winner. Two very strong looking men. Also in there, El Mwaziz and El Arbi Katabi. But Bekele begins to look more and more like the next Haile Gebrselassie.
Leading group of 10.
And I think, George, it's not so much that if he wins this, he will emerge as the only man ever to have won the junior race, the junior championship, the short course and the senior, the long course race, but that if he does it here, he will have done it in 2 successive years. I mean, that of itself is incredible.
He's only 19 and emerging as such a talent. And he is on the shoulder of the leader, John Yuda. Kenny Bekele. The gap that has opened up to the second group is very, very sizable indeed.
On the left of your picture there, number 424, Charles Kamatai. Third last year, world champion at 10,000 metres in Edmonton, so don't discount him. Yuda doing all the donkey work for the field.
But they're all running very smoothly.
Looks like an injection of pace, though.
And Bekele's stayed with him.
And Kamatai beginning to emerge as probably the most dangerous of the Kenyans.
1-7, that's the leading group. That pace has dropped 3 of them off. But a very long way to go, so it's not a question of going right out of contention at this stage. But the 10 who were have still a big, big margin back to the chasing group.
Mark Carroll, best of the Irish, as you'd expect.
Yuda doing the work, but right behind him, Bekele.
And Kamatai.
Slight downhill stretch as they cross the race course, protected by the matting, and go on the infield in towards the golf course. The idea of the numbers have come to see this, packed into the grandstand at Leopardstown.
In the event that he wins this, there'll be a big change in the appearance of Kamatai, because after he won the 10,000 metres in Edmonton, he had lost a tooth, a front tooth, so he had this great gap-toothed smile for the last few years, but after the World Championships in Edmonton, a local dentist offered to replace his front tooth for free. So his appearance would have changed just a little bit should he win this one.
The smile won't be quite as embarrassing.
That's he in 4th place. And Yuda's pace is really beginning to stretch them out now, and one or two of them are struggling just a bit. 4:27 there, Richard Limo, the world champion at 5,000 metres. His middle name is Kipkemai, and in the way that the East Africans, and particularly the Kenyans, give names to their children which relate to the circumstances of their birth, his name means born in the dry season, when food is barely available or hardly available.
Certainly hasn't affected his running talent.
Richard Kipkemai Limo. But out in front, John Yuda and Bekele looking awesomely easy. 4:23 there, Albert Chepkurui. Eritrea beginning to fade just a little bit. Kenya consolidating their hold on that. They've improved by 1 point in the course of that lap, from 15 to 14. But certainly, if Chepkurui and Kamathai don't make something of a move soon, there's a danger that Bekele and Yuda will get away. You get the impression that Bekele's getting a little bit impatient. He's looking over his shoulder to see where the others are. And you get the impression that any moment now he might get a rush of blood and try to get away from Yuda.
Well, they in turn have got away from the chasing pack. That kilometre or so of sustained pressure from John Yuda, matched by Kenny Bekele, has meant that the leading group of 10 has now become single file, apart from the fact that Bekele is still on Yuda's shoulder.
Best of the Kenyans, Wilberforce Talel, 3rd placer in the Kenyan Championships, but he at this stage is the leader of their group. He's the closest to these two. But he is having to work so much harder. If you look at the difference between Bekele and even between Yuda and Talel, so much more comfortable, so much more easy for Kenenisa Bekele. The Kenyan really having to work, really beginning to feel the effects. This man looking as though he's got a 5th gear and is just easing his way around.
It has that appearance, doesn't it, that he's has it in his mind he's going to strike. Yuda still running smoothly, but knows he hasn't been able to shake this man off. Looks so fresh. Yesterday's efforts in the short course must seem just like a training spin. That's Taleli in 3rd place. There's no one else with them, as that glance over the shoulder will have confirmed.
That was one of the lap runners from Uzbekistan in the white t-shirt top.
And there are plenty more who'll be lapped on the way round.
He too, 485, is from Uzbekistan.
46 years of age, Abdul Wahab Nizamov has his moment of glory. But he's not matching anything like the pace of these fellas.
This is awesome to see Bekele coming up this hill for the 2nd time in 2 days and looking as composed and easy as that. His recovery rate is fantastic, quite unbelievable. Yuda, remember, is fresh. He didn't run yesterday. Bekele did, and yet Bekele looks so easy, so composed, and so focused.
Well, you mentioned Tony Haile Gebrselassie, who isn't here because he's preparing for his eagerly awaited marathon debut in the London Marathon next month. But you'd have to say, we're almost seeing him replicated.
We're seeing the closest thing, quite a different runner in many, many ways, and without the, how shall I say, the insouciance of Gebre Selassie. But he is, I don't think there can be any doubt about it now. Just watching him here, he is the next really, really great track champion from Ethiopia. And he will strike fear into the rest of the athletes. There's no question. This is an incredible performance after winning so convincingly yesterday in such a hard, fast race.
Yes, because we recall that. Just confirming how they stand at the end of lap 4, which means they've 2 to go. They're in the 5th of 6 laps now. That race had a phenomenally fast start, and I recall you making the very point that in a race that short, there isn't time to consolidate if you do let them get away from you. So he was obviously involved in everything yesterday, in all the pacemaking and in the winning, and now here he is on the shoulder of Yuda, the 12-kilometre race, and yesterday's exertions over 4,000 metres don't appear to have cost him anything.
Yuda's still very strong, though. Yuda looked over his shoulder there just to check where everybody was, but he hasn't succeeded in getting rid of Bekele. But it is quite amazing that he is actually still here. Remember, as I said, only 27th last year in this championship, and that was his first time to run that I can find in the World Cross. But he is running a terrific race because he is well clear now of all the Kenyans. That's the third man. Wilberforce Talail.
And the Kenyans 4th, 5th and 6th. Richard Limo, Charles Kamati and Albert Chepkirui. Enoch Matai. It seems a surefire certainty that there'll be another gold medal for Kenya in the team event. But there's not going to be an individual gold, and the question really is, will it be Tanzania or will it be Ethiopia?
And what's happening here is that Bekele is putting the squeeze on Yuda. Yuda may not want to go that fast, but Bekele is just squeezing it, forcing his way up onto his shoulder, and Yuda knows that he either has to run fast to stay ahead of Bekele, or if he doesn't, Bekele is just going to go well away from him.
It's a fascinating tactical battle, isn't it? Cat and mouse, and Bekele has just stepped ahead of Yuda. Confirmation of the team standings, and Bekele's first position at this stage won't really help Ethiopia dent Kenya because they are so densely packed just behind.
And he is looking, he looked over at Yuda just to see how Yuda was faring, and saw on his face that Yuda now was beginning to crack, and he has decided to go. And it is, you would have to say, almost over.
With over a lap to go. And the moment has come, and Bekele has gone ahead, and there is no question who is the fresher of those two athletes. And it's the young man from Addis Ababa who has just decided that now is his moment, and he's going to go, and you would not bet against him. These are 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. The 4 scoring Kenyans. That's awesome.
It is utterly unbelievable what this man is doing. And I mean, we're going to repeat ourselves over and over again now in the final stages of this race. This is probably the next, let's say for the last time, the next truly great Ethiopian distance runner, Kenenisa Bekele. He is going to win this. He won the short course yesterday. He won the juniors last year, as well as coming second in the short course. The most amazing cross-country performance in the space of a year that we have ever seen.
And he's only 19. Only 19 years of age, and now absolutely alone.